Hey guys, and welcome back to Regrexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, Boris Johnson has been ousted. And people say, finally. Well, well, yeah, actually, people are saying finally, but I was expecting this. I was not expecting Boris Johnson to get through a full term. Because you see, when you are a cheat, a liar, and a thief, it's very difficult, right, for you to hold those qualities down. Boris Johnson has scandal after scandal, right? Before he was foreign minister, right? He got sacked. He got sacked being the arts minister or something like that, and he got sacked. He's been sacked from newspapers and and magazines. He's been sacked from a whole heap of places and it's always been because of lying, right? Or he's had an affair and then he's denied it. So Boris Johnson, yeah, just let's just say 2 years, right, has been ousted, right? But every single person in this country, right, knew about Boris Johnson's reputation. But there's, he's a lovable rogue. Yeah, a lovable rogue, yeah, who supports sexual predators. And what really gets me about the people of this country, right, is the fact that they are so hard on sexual predators. The Muslim Roman gangs, we want to string them all up. We want to kill their family, we want their mum, their dad, right, their sisters, their brothers. We want to kill their fucking pets. When it comes down to the Muslim Roman gangs. But these people, right, will still support, right, a man, right, who knows, right, there's a man who's going around, right, sexually assaulting other men. But then you see the Johnson family, they've got a reputation for this, not Joe. But Boris and his dad. Boris has been accused of of touching up a journalist before, and she wrote about it just not that long ago. And Boris Johnson's dad was also accused, right? And he's the man who used to batter his wife all the time. Right? So these people in this country, right, and all those politicians, right, who vote for Boris Johnson, they all know this. Right? And now, right, these same Tories, right, there's the same Tories that put Boris Johnson in power, right, that put Theresa May in power. Theresa May is not as bad. Theresa May is like a sandwich, right, like an Oreo, but obviously it would be an Oreo with a white middle and two outer white biscuits, right? But she's been put in between, David Cameron and Boris Johnson, two of the worst prime ministers this country has ever seen. And poor old Theresa May, right, who I don't like anyway, right? But, compared to those two, she's a real statesperson, right? But, she's been put in between them two, right? With their eaten bollocks, right, that's been sent out to fuck this country up, right? And she probably would have made quite a good prime minister, right? Even though she did send them vans round saying that, if you're an immigrant, you need to come out, right? So but all of those things, yeah, is pressure, right, from the Tory faithful. And now we've got the same situation again, where the very same people are going to give us our next prime minister. The same MPs. Remember, these are the same MPs that put most of them, right, because Boris Johnson had an influx of around 80 new MPs that came in with him, right? And if you really want to know, right, about people, right, who should be nowhere near power, just look at those 80 MPs that came in with Boris Johnson, right? I'll just give you an example. She's not one of the 80 that came in with Boris Johnson, right? But Andrea Jenkins, right? Because this is how, right, unsuitable these people are, right? To be in any post. Because Andrea Jenkins, I believe she's some type of education minister. I don't know if she's junior, but she's some type of. She's not. I don't think she's the education minister, but she's some kind of education minister. That's the department she works in. But yet, for all, she was walking into Downing Street the other day, right, and she thought it appropriate, right, to flip the bird to the people who are outside there protesting legally, right, and the people who are out there protesting, they've got something to protest about. Right, it's not as if to say they haven't got any. They've got real stuff to protest about. You know, the cost of living, the wreckage that Boris Johnson has left behind him. Right, you know, the Brexit, right, that has slaughtered this country, right. People out there complaining, right, outside Downing Street, and Penny Mord, she thinks it's appropriate to go and flip the bird at them, Andrew Jenkins. Right? And I think it probably, right, it's because her husband is a weed guy. Because her husband got investments in weed companies in this country, you know, CBD or whatever it is. I mean, but that's where he's got his investments, right? But people like this, right? And remember, she's a Brexiter, right? And now, if you're a Brexiter, right, why the hell are you using, right, American, right, insults? What's wrong, right, with a good old-fashioned British insult? And also, welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages you sent me. And a special thanks to everybody who signed up to our channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up. So thank you so much for that. I'll go through all the messages. I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all the messages for definite. And we say, you know what, right? It's really hot, right? And, all the black people are like, well, we're not really going to use any sun cream or anything like that because we don't need to, right? And the white people's gonna be burning up out there. There's gonna be a whole heap of lobsters out there, right? Unless you've got that skin that can take the deep tan, right? People are gonna get their eyes burnt up out there because it's really. When I tell you it's really hot, it's really hot. But I have air conditioning. so as long as I'm in my house or in my car, not in my bloody van. Van don't have no air conditioning, which I'm pissed off about. Right? Anywho, Djokovic wins Wimbledon. Is there anybody who's surprised about that? Djokovic is, as I said, he's the best player I have ever seen play tennis. I mean, he's just an absolute phenomenon, right? Now, Kyrgios has beaten Djokovic before because Kyrgios was 2-0 up in the stakes. You know what I mean? So, Kyrgios, he is a good player, but when it comes down to if you want entertainment, then you need to go and watch Kyrgios play against anybody because you're always going to get some good entertainment right with him because he's all just shouting his head off at the umpire all the time, picking out people in the crowd. I mean, yesterday he said to one woman, he said to the umpire, "She's had about 700 drinks, bro." Right? And the woman was escorted right out of centre court, right, and she said I believe it come back that she had 798 drinks less than he said. But in that hot sun, what would you expect? Do you know what I mean? Right? So, but Curious, I'll tell you, Curious, I think that's how you say his name, right? But he is absolutely box office gold, right? Because he's just, and Djokovic, and Djokovic, I've never even seen Djokovic. I've never seen him do anything. I mean, I've just seen him do is just get on with the game and just play the game, Djokovic. So when you want, for real entertainment value, right, that's what you got in Wimbledon because you saw some real good tennis. Obviously, people really wanted to go 7 sets, but if you're, it's only, there's only a few of them that will take Djokovic to 7 sets. Probably Nadal, Federer. There might be one or two others that Murray. I don't know. I don't think Murray could take Djokovic to 7 sets because once you take Djokovic to 7 sets, right, he starts getting better. In that 7th set, right, you think that you're playing him in the first set, right, and then you had the young Prince there with his mum and dad. So Prince William and Kate. Right, with what's his name? Well, anyway, he's the future. Obviously, he's the future king as well, so future Prince of Wales. Right, but he was there, right, in a blazer, 8 years old, in a blazer all day. You made yourself serious, right? And you could see this little child was you could see he must have been sweat. Right, you think to yourself, just put the child in a t-shirt and some shorts. Seriously, do you know what I mean? I don't even know how. Do you know what I mean? I suppose they might, there might be air conditioned from underneath the royal box, right? For all we know, and they just might not have told us about this. So they've just got a breath of cold air blowing up, right? But I don't know how that child sat there throughout all that, right? In his blazer and tie. Right? Kind of strange, isn't it? Shinzo Abe has been murdered, assassinated, by a guy, yeah, who had a homemade gun. How the fuck, yeah, there's someone with a homemade gun? Right? Because, a homemade gun is not going to be able to shoot like real far distances and not accurate. Right. So you're probably going to have to get pretty close to the person. I know he's the ex prime minister or president, but he's the ex, right? But you'd think that security would still be pretty tight around him. That's what you'd think. You'd think that security would still be, pretty tight, because I mean most ex-world leaders, I'm sure they, especially all of them do in America. They've all got security detail in America, places like that. I'm sure that there's going to be a good few of them that may well need a security detail in this country to have all the time. I mean, Tony Blair has armed police have to go around with Tony Blair all the time. Right. And that's probably going to be for the rest of his life. So so even in this country, you have that. But you just think that, like, I know he's ex. As I said, I know he's ex, but he was still into politics because he was doing a political speech here, right? But you just think, how the hell would someone get so close? Because the laws in Japan, right, are very much the same as they are here, right? You can't have a gun. That's why this guy had to have a homemade gun. But I think he's an ex-Navy or some type of military background. So obviously he must know how to make a weapon. But if you want to make a weapon that can shoot really accurate, then you'd need good machinery for that. And it's not that type of machinery that you can have in your house. So so we know that this guy must have had to be very, very close, right, to be able to get away and do that. I was trying to think earlier, who is the last world leader to get murdered, and I think it was one of the Caribbean islands, not Cuba. I think it might have been Haiti. That last year or the year before, I think it might have been Haiti, the last world leader, right, to be murdered. I think it might have been Haiti. I'm not sure, but I think it might have been there. But yeah, Shinzo seemed like quite a nice person as well, Shinzo. And you see the difference, right, between UK and Sri Lanka. Not the weather, because today we're hotter than Sri Lanka probably. They like to tell us that all the time, and they don't go on to say, but you know what? Next week it'll be pissing down with motherfucking rain. But the people of Sri Lanka, right, have, they're 55% inflation. So they've gone in, right, and they've just taken over the presidential palace, right, and they've taken over the whole the prime minister's premises. Take them over, right? And both of those people have had to resign. If you see the people, how they were swimming in the presidential pool in Sri Lanka, right? But you see, it's sort of at the level, obviously they're 55% inflation, right? Now their inflation has always been higher than ours. But obviously they can't get things like, they can't get petrol, they can't get diesel, so there's much more shortages going on in there, and the people have just said, that's it, we have had enough of this bullshit. These people that are running us, right, are a bunch of fucking arses, right, and we want them out. And I think that's what needs to happen in countries, in a lot of these countries, yeah, where we're having governments, right, that are not there for the people of the countries. Right, because our government's not there for us. They're not there. They're running this country for a very small amount of people. And if you look, right, it's between about 100, 120, 120, maybe 150,000, right, people, right, who are going to give us our next prime minister, right. But right, if you want to just back up a little bit, right, it's 350, right, Tory MPs that are going to vote, right, to give us our next prime minister, and then they put it out to their membership, right, and that small amount of people, right, are the people that are running this country. That small amount right there. Right. So you're talking about this country being run for the benefit, right, of, let's just say, 200,000 people. Use this country as their personal bank accounts. Let's just say it's 200,000 people. You see? But what's going on in Sri Lanka is what should be happening in this country. We should be going down there and ripping them all out of the House of Parliament and the House of Lords and telling them, listen, you guys have failed. Okay? That's what's happened. You have failed. Like dinosaurs, right? You failed and you need to be extinct, because we don't need people like you running countries anywhere in the world. You don't need people like this, right? And, the same as the government in Sri Lanka. You don't need people like that. Same as the government in America, right? Well, maybe the previous government, we could say, in America, right? But we don't need, right, people like that running these countries. And even, I said America, and even in America, right, you can look and say, you know what, yeah, Joe Biden is probably the wrong person for that, right? They should be having maybe Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Cory Booker, right? Pete Buttigieg, right? Those are the type of people who they should have running that country for them. But these people, just like the people in this country, they're too thick to understand, right, that that the people who are running them are a very small elite cabal. But they will say to you, oh, it's the middle class Islington elite. Hackney and Highbury, it's about that big. Very small Highbury. Hackney's big, right? But Highbury, very small. Right, I'm just trying to think if any parts of Stoke Newington is covered in Islington, because they could be. Right? I mean, Islington, the area itself is a very tiny area. Islington, the area itself, but the whole borough is called Islington. But that's who the people that, oh yeah, sure, they're middle class Islington elite. Yeah, right. Unfortunately, the Northern Ireland ladies have been knocked out by Norway. And them Norwegian girls are bloody good, right? Freaking good. I'm telling you, they're really, really good. When I say knocked out, they're probably, they lost their first, most of their first game they lost. But England's playing Norway today, so don't worry, because we're going to get them back for you. Right? When the England ladies step up, the Lionesses step up, right, and put some lashes, right, into them Norwegian ladies. We're going to do that for you, for all our Irish people. Then we're going to do that for you later today. Tracy Connolly has been released from prison. Remember her baby P's mum, right? This is the second time she's actually been released, because she got released before, and obviously she had to be recalled to prison for something else. I'm sure it's as far back as like must have been 2013. I'm sure it was as far back as that, right, that she was released. 2013, can't have been 2013. But I know it was a long time ago that she was released, and then she had to go back to jail again. And you think to yourself, wow, you was released all that time ago, and then you've had to go. So she's probably had to go back and finish her sentence in that case. That's probably what that is. So whatever sentence she got in the first place, they'd have recalled her back to come and finish it. Because she would have got parole all those years ago, and then couldn't behave her fucking self, right? So they fling her back into prison again. But obviously she's been released again now, and they're saying that they might there could well be some they're going to be watching her. They're obviously going to be watching her for the next how much of a year. They're going to keep a tight rein on her, because obviously she shouldn't be allowed to have any more children. And if she did, they should be taken off as soon as the child is born. It should just be taken straight off of her immediately. And it has been said that Rishi Sunak, all right, or as the kids like to call him, Fishy Poostak, right, a man who couldn't use a debit card, but still, Rishi Sunak, right, apparently is teaming up with Dominic Cummings, right, to release a load of stories, right, about all the people who are trying to get Boris Johnson's job. Because remember the bit of, just if we go back a week, right, there was people telling us, oh no, there's no one to replace Boris Johnson, and all of a sudden, right, there's I'm sure we're up to about 20, right? I mean, obviously, it's going to get, a good few more is going to throw their hat in the ring. So, so apparently Dominic Cummings and Sunak, right, have been scheming behind everybody's back, right, and putting out these stories. Like there's another story that's been out there about Nadeem Zahawi, or as you like to call him, Pinhead Zippy, right? But the stories about him and his Dax, right? All of a sudden, these things are coming out, right? And he said, "Oh no," he's come out straight away and said, "Oh no, I have no issues. Oh no, I have no issues with taxes. In fact, if I'm made Prime Minister, I will publish my taxes every year," said Pinhead Zippy. But where the hell are these stories coming from? Right? And now, if it's true, right, then obviously you know that it's been Rishi Sunak all this time, right, that has been putting out stories about Boris Johnson slowly, right? Because, the thing is, right, if Boris Johnson, if this had come out, right, about, Chris Pincher, if that story had come out 3 months later, 6 months later, right, Boris Johnson would have got away with it. He would have got away with it. But you know what? It was just the speed that this next scandal hit, and that is the thing that made people say, you know what? No. This man, yeah, he can no longer stay in power, right? Because there was too much, yeah, that all come at one time. I would like to know, yeah, what's going to happen, yeah, to the £1,000-a-roll wallpaper, because that's only been up for 2 years. It's been up for 2 years, right? After, it just goes to show you, yeah, what kind of person Boris Johnson really is, right? Because obviously, that Boris Johnson, it seems, right, that he has missed his own targets by over a decade, or yeah, let's just say by a decade, because Boris Johnson planned on winning another 2 elections. So he was expecting to be in power for at least 12 years, right? Which is why obviously he went for the most expensive wallpaper man could possibly find anywhere in the world, right? So that's what he was expecting, right? But obviously after 2 short years, right, and people have seen the true character of this man for themselves, right, why they was pretending all the time, right, that because some people were saying, well, he's unsuitable, right, and then there was other people saying, well, he is unsuitable, yeah, but what happens is he gets all the right people around him. This is the nonsense these people was coming up with all the time. I was sitting there thinking to myself, well, why should we have to put up with that? Why haven't we just got someone who's 100% competent to go into the job as Prime Minister? Why do we have to have someone, right, who has got all of this baggage, right? So after a very short space of time, right, they're going to have to get rid of him, right? And then, I saw an interview with Steve Baker, the apparent Brexit hard man, and he don't look too hard to me. But I saw an interview with Steve Baker, right, where Steve Baker said, "Oh well, you know what? This country was saved from by Boris Johnson from Corbyn, because Corbyn would have come in with his socialism." And I thought, just stop right. If I was to interview, I'd just stop right there. All of you people live on socialism. All of you politicians, with your expenses. Right, that makes you all live on socialism, the way how your expenses are formed, okay? Because the state pays for your utilities, the state pays for your travel costs, the state pays for your food, right? So these people, the absolute cheek, but they can get away with it, because all they'll just go is like, the boat's coming over, we're going to send all those people to Rwanda, all right? But all of them, the royals, the lords, the lords get £332 a day tax free. That's what they get, 330. If it's for white, So all of the money from the country, you're taking it and giving it to all of, as I said, right, all of these people, right, are part of that 200,000. Right? And all that 200,000, you'll find that all of them will be living on socialism. All of them. Right? We'll be having us pay for their food, us pay for their for their travel costs, us pay for for their utilities. Yeah, we buy their cars, right? We buy their houses, right? And they will say to you, "Oh no, socialism is terrible," while going round the corner and sniggering and say, "Yeah, socialism is terrible for you, but it's fucking great for us." And the people of this country, right, are too thick, too stupid to realise, right? That this is the thing, right? And all they'll say to you, "Oh, you know, all your problems are down to all those black and brown people and all those people who speak in a different language, because we don't want none of that over here, do we?" And these people will just suck it up, while all of that 200,000 are living. They're living their lives of lavish luxury. It seems that pencil neck Tin Lizzie Trust has thrown her hat into the ring. Right? A woman who is stained by Boris Johnson. Right? She's gone out there and she's lied for Boris Johnson. She's been there all the way, right, with Boris Johnson, right, in that government, who they're all trying to distance themselves from now. All of them are trying to distance themselves away from Boris Johnson, even though they've all soiled themselves, right, in public for the past 2 years, right, for Boris Johnson. Right. He sent them out there to tell lie after lie after lie, and now they think, right, that they should be the ones to take over this country. Right. Anybody who's in Boris Johnson's cabinet, right, shouldn't even be thinking of, right, applying to be the Prime Minister of this country. They shouldn't even be thinking of it. Right. It should be the last thing on their mind. The last thing on their mind. Shouldn't be thinking about it at all. But they are. And another one who's thrown her hat into expected to throw her hat into the ring today, which is not so Pretty Patel, aka Humpty Dumpty, is apparently going to throw her hat into the ring with her hardline whipping ass. Right? She, because remember, she's the person who's come up with this whole Rwanda policy. Yeah, a woman of brown skin. Right now, what I can say to you, right, about every single black person and Asian in the Tory party, every single one of them are the wrong kind of black and Asian people. Every one of them. And I'll tell you why. Because if you can sit in a room, right, you full of white people, a few, one or two Asians and a few blacks, and you can sit there while they're saying, you know what, we want to send black and brown people to Rwanda. Black and brown people who look like you. Now, let's put it this way, right? I'm just gonna flip the switch a little here. Imagine if that room, right, was mainly black and Asian politicians, and it was dotted, few white politicians in there. And all the black and Asian politicians saying, you know what, yeah, we're having far too many white people come here, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put them on a boat or on a plane, and we're gonna send them to Rwanda. I mean, as a white person, how would you feel about that? Right? And don't come over with none of this bollocks. Oh, this is my country. You can fuck off. Okay, right? So don't bother come over with none of that bullshit, right? Because this is my country as much as it is yours, right? As you can see, look. I wear the George Cross, right? So this is my country as much as it is yours, okay, right? So I, right, have to sit in that room, right, while white people discuss sending black and brown people who look like me to them. So you've got to be the wrong kind of black and brown person, right, if you can sit in that room and do that, right? And it makes it even worse, right, if you are a person who has come to this country as a refugee or asylum seeker. Right, it makes you, right, 10 times worse, right, because those are the type of people, right. You go back to slavery, yeah. Those are the type of people, right, who would have done the whipping for the slave masters. Okay, those are the type of people who would have done it. And oh yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it every day. Those are the type of people, right, who will treat their own people badly just so that they can dance for the white community. I believe they're called coons. That's what I think. That's what I believe. Ah, another one who should be nowhere near right putting her hat in the ring, even though her hat is ex-military because I think she's from the RAF, so I think she's from the RAF or Navy. I don't know, one of them. I think she's from right. Is Penny Mordaunt, right? Now, she's put a video out, right, with Oscar Pistorius in it first of all. So he's a murderer. He's a killer, right? He's like, well, when they said to Biden, "Do you think Putin's a killer?" Biden, yes. Oscar Pistorius, he is a killer, right? And she's got him in the video, and then she's got a load of other people, yeah, that have got in contact with her and said, "Take my ass out of the video. Why are you putting me in your video?" Right? And now you think to yourself, well, I'm sure Penny Mordaunt, you must have been right at the Tory party conference, right, where they played a song from a band who didn't appreciate them doing that, and they come out in the media and said, "Listen, why are you playing our music? Don't be playing our music? Right? We don't want to be associated with you. Okay, so don't." And you know. I was listening to TV to GMB this morning, right? And one of the politicians said, "Oh well, that band when they done that, it's just because they was being political." I think, really? So you're going to use their music and then you're going to accuse them of them being political after they say to you, "Don't use our music." Really? But yeah, this is the shit. This is the type of shit that these people can get away with because they know that the people who are voting for them are a bunch of racist arses. And you see, Boris Johnson didn't want to leave. Didn't want to leave here, but he don't want to leave because he's in Downing Street, holed up at the moment, right? Because he should really be out. They should have sling him out straight away. But he's in there, holed up, right? And they want to speed up the process so they can get him out as quickly as possible. But he wanted to have his big party at Chequers. That's why he didn't want to. That's why he didn't want to get out straight away. See, that just shows you, yeah, how unsuitable Boris Johnson was for this role. And the fact that he was having secret meetings with ex KGB, right? And there's no such thing as an ex KGB agent. There's only a such thing as a dead ex KGB agent. But any ex KGB agent that's still alive is still a KGB agent. Now, one of the politicians who last week was given a ministerialship, right, by Boris Johnson, right, in his dying days, has she's done 2 days, right, and she gets a severance pay of £17,000, which she just said, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm going to give it to charity." 2 days, and her severance pay is £17,000. You say, how the fuck does that work? But yeah, that's how these people have got this. That's how these people have got this shit running. Savage Javid, or Zippy, as we like to call him, said he did not want to compromise his integrity, and that's why he resigned from the Boris Johnson government. Say, well, the first time or second time, was that for the first time or second time? Because you went back to this same government, right? So he's another one who should be completely unsuitable, because he is completely unsuitable for the job as prime minister, right? Alongside Zahawi, right, a man who Boris Johnson gave the job 1 minute, and then the next minute Zahawi said to Boris Johnson, "You need to resign." The one thing most of these Tory MPs are saying, yeah, is they're going to cut corporation tax. That's the first thing they're coming across with. I mean, Liz Truss said that she said she's going to come in straight away and cut taxes. And you think to yourself, really, you're going to fall for this bullshit again? Right? Because any politician who comes in and tells you we're going to cut taxes, right? You say, well, how the fuck are you going to run the country then? What are you going to run the country on? We're going to run it on fresh air. We're going to cut taxes. No. It's just nonsense, because you need taxes, right, to run the country, unless, right, our government have got investments in other countries that we don't know about. right? Maybe they might be running train lines in other countries that we don't know about, or running utilities in other countries that we don't know about, right? Because they're not running ours. Our utility companies and our train lines are being run by governments. They're just not being run by our government. The Brexit legacy, right, is a small part, right, of the problem for the incoming prime minister, right, as the cost of living is spiraling out of control. Out of control, the cost of living, right? So the Brexit's going to be nothing. That's going to be nothing really to Well, I say nothing. Right? That's one of the major issues. The Brexit is, but all of the politicians are trying to put that on a sidebar because none of them want to touch it because they know right, how upset and how racist this country is, and the reaction from the people of this country is not going to go down well for them. The UK ports are threatening to sue the government after the government made them build a load of white elephants. Right? So loads of old Brexit warehouses that they built that they're not going to use. Right? Now those ports are saying, well, you know what, we're going to fucking sue you. We're going to sue your ass. This country is in a complete mess. It's a complete disaster zone. Right? But then what was you expecting putting an absolute arse in charge of the country? Right? Post-Brexit rules are a disaster for the arts, says the director of the Edinburgh Festival, and he would know because obviously he's got a lot of artists needing to come into this country to to go to the Edinburgh Festival, and obviously they're going to have a lot of problems doing that because they're having a lot of problems moving equipment and all those type of things. They're having real problems doing all of that. Everything tainted by Boris Johnson has to be undone, including Brexit, says The Guardian. But then they would say that, wouldn't they? Because they've never been behind Brexit. But they always thought it was a bad idea. And was they right? I mean, you answer that for yourself. And I can tell you, sure bloody they was. Hotels are having to turn people away because they're so short-staffed. They're having to say to people, there's no beds available for you. See? And this is the thing. This is the country that we're in, right? We've got all these people, right, trying to break into the country, right, from France. Loads of them trying to break into the country. It's really warm. Trying to break into the country, and I've got air conditioning, and it's still hot, right? And so much people trying to break into this country, and you think, well, you should be going to France and saying to these people, right, look, if you want to come over, right, we've got this, this, and this you can do, right? Place them in the places where they need to staff, right? Go over there and say, there's people say, listen, anybody want a fruit pick, or anybody who don't mind doing that type of work, we have plenty of work for you, right? Are there any people, right, with a medical background, right? Even if you used to be a porter in your hospital in your local country, we have plenty of work for you. So we've got plenty of work for all these people, but the people of this country, right, are too damn racist, right, to say, you know what, even the jobs, right, that there's not enough people in this country to do, we don't want anybody coming. They can just suffer, right, all the hotels, fuck them. That's the level of the people of this country. Anyway, my friends, this, my friends, is By Any Means Necessary. I'm DMC John Ribs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.